Okay, we're back down in the shop today, as promised. The first one that I'm going to do is the gear case, which is in the rear. And basically there's a drain bolt in the bottom. The important thing, at least on the 1000S and the 900S, is the way the muffler is. It's basically, you need a really long funnel with a hose on it. But I've actually found these work the best, and these are very, very inexpensive. You can find them at the auto parts store, and I'll also put a link to one on Amazon if you have trouble finding one. And really all that you've got to do is it'll come as a kit. It'll come with a couple of plastic tubes, and you just either want to use the correct tube. Sometimes depending on the container you may need to trim one of these tubes. But basically you just hold this up to the mating surface, and estimate very close to the bottom of the tube. And if you'll notice, these tubes are cut with an angle, and that's just so if this hits the bottom, it can still suction out fluid. The rear takes a little longer because you're using about 1.5 of these. The front goes really quick. And what I do is I keep 2 of these on hand, and I just keep them in the bottle, even if I use all of it, and just put a piece of tape over the end. That way when I come back to use this again, it's ready to go. Okay, I'm behind the razor now, and I've already got my 2 containers of AGL ready to go with a pump in the first one and it opened. You also need an 8mm. There's actually 2 plugs. One is the fill and one is the drain. I'm going to start with the fill. Get some light. Okay, so that is the fill. And you can kind of see, especially on the RZR 1000, this muffler, basically, it's really deep in here. And that's why you really need to have the pump. It makes it a lot easier. On other models of RZRs, you can take a funnel and just kind of bend it up a little bit. This one, I don't have any funnels that'll make that kind of bend. Your drain is on the bottom. I'll try to get as good a shot as I can. And it's basically this first drain hole. There's another one that's further back, that's the actual engine hole, and that's the slotted one. It's further back. If you're in doubt, you can look at the side of the engine and determine where the crankcase is and where the motor is. It's pretty easy to do. But the easiest way to remember it is the gear case is the furthest one to the back of the machine, and the engine is the one furthest away from the back of the machine. But I'm going to go ahead and take this plug out. Again, it's 8mm. You just pop it in there and drain it out. It's going to be about 1.5 of these if it's still full. And I'll go ahead and pop that back in. There is a magnet on the drain plug, so make sure when you take it out to be really careful and clean that back off before you put it back in. And obviously inspect. If you see any real big chunks of debris, then you may have a problem pending. Okay, we've got the plug out of the machine. Just gonna grab it here. This is fresh out of the machine. Just gonna show you what it may look like. You can see small debris. That's parts out of the transmission. Any clanking or gear grinding, that's where the pieces end up. And this looks pretty normal. I'm gonna clean this off, put it back in. Just be mindful. Make sure that this O-ring comes off, and replace it if you can. I usually do replace mine. You can buy an O-ring kit from Polaris, or this is a standard size O-ring. I don't know which size it is out of the set, but it's a fairly standard O-ring. It's not any kind of weird size. Anyway, I'm going to put this back in, and we'll do the fill. Okay, we got it cleaned off. We're going to pop it back in, and we're going to do the fill. This is what it looks like cleaned off. And I've reseated the O-ring. This is a new O-ring. Make sure that you apply a little bit of oil to the threads in the O-ring before you put it back in. Okay, we've got the fill plug. It looks a little different. There is an O-ring, and basically I've already taken this one out. Went ahead and coated it, put an O-ring on it, and I'm going to go ahead and do the fill. One thing I want to say, it's really hard to film. The fluid in my rig looked great. It was, normal oil looking film coming out rather than, and what I mean by that is If you pull that drain plug out and you see a bunch of white milky material coming out, it means you've got water in your diff. So I'm going to get to pumping this in. It'll take a little bit, and that should conclude the rear diff change. These are pretty easy to fill. Basically, you just want to keep filling until the fluid starts coming back out again when you have the machine on a level surface. I'm starting to see a little now. When it starts coming out, I'm actually going to put the drain plug back in. Okay. We're full. We'll put the drain plug back in, or the fill plug. That's how you service the rear differential gear case on the Polaris 1000S. This should be really similar to other machines. I know there was a couple other videos that I saw with like XPs, and some of the machines are a little easier to get to. This one, you pretty much have to have a pump. We're going to get started cleaning all this up. I hope you enjoyed the video. The next video will be the front. But like I say, the big thing is when you drain it, make sure that you clean that magnetic material or the metal material off the magnet. Be sure that if you get milky substance, I think I have seen this AGL fluid that is not colored purple. What was in my machine, mine's a 2016, and what I put back in is, I think on my 800 I actually, I did have some AGL that was not as dark. But so don't let that freak you out if you start taking it out. As long as you're putting the correct fluid in. On the RZRs, it's AGL in the rear and the demand drive in the front. Anyway, hope you like the videos. If you have any questions, please comment. Please share, please like. I appreciate everybody's support. I've been getting quite a few comments on the RZR. Like this is a hobby for me, and mainly I stick to any machining videos and things like that, but I figured while I'm at it, I might as well shoot videos of the maintenance on the RZR here. Thanks for watching.